we're back. And
We're
this
back.
time the sound's working.
Welcome.
Larry, how's the sound working for you too?
I can hear you. Yes, sir.
You can hear me. Okay, great. Yeah, so last week everything was just fine except one thing that I did not take into account. When OBS restarts after a machine restart, the so-called default audio may not be what you thought it was. Right. So it apparently was pointing to, and I don't know why it does this, because these monitors that I have their own audio, but you have to plug in something into the plug for them to work. But for
Right.
whatever reason, they are like, I'm here now. Everyone stand out of my way. It's the device driver that says, the heck with you guys, I'm in charge. And always takes my sound. So if I unplug, for example, this monitor and plug it back in, all of a sudden my sound goes out. Why? Because the auto would like to transfer its sound over there. Now, that's changed thanks to Windows 11. Actually, there's a setting that says, no, do not let devices do what they will.
Don't let them steal it.
Let them steal it. It gives you a little prompt that, hey, this device wants you to do something. I don't want to do that right now because I have everything set up, right?
And Ralph, you got you were showing crypto on the screen here.
Oh yeah, my money.
Let's get into that real fast.
Let's get into that real fast. Oh, so this is like we're doing the continuing tale because after all we're doing not just crypto basically. It's the
whole cloud.
The whole cloud piece, and this is of course one of the big ones. We're going to see what's Ralph's money doing these days, and there's not that much really to show, so it's okay to show, I suppose. So where did we start? So Larry, back in the day, gave me a little bit of couch money. He had some cash, and then I even did this. I even transferred and bought Dogecoin over here, just because. Why not? We're going to give it a try. And $10. But now I'm going to look back at my money. Oops, not that money. That's, by the way, something we should be looking at. But let's take a look. So I'm at 120, even though it's down today. Oh, by the way, it's coming back up. It's crawling back up. And even my Dogecoin, it went up a penny from that dollar. Mm-hmm. I was doing this Fetch AI where you got questions. So there was like, how did this one do? So this one originally was like $3 worth of stuff. Right. So in general, it's now down to $2.92. So it hasn't done as well.
But it's free money. Right.
But it's free money. That's right.
And you learned a little bit about what the fetch coin is for, what their reason for being is. Yeah. So and there are other things that you can do to earn. I see it looks like $19 more that you can earn without having to co-opt your friends. And
well, like now Ethereum is down. Maybe I should buy or trade. Should I dilute my money even further? And take this Bitcoin. It was going to transfer. You were showing me that. Where is that over there? Trade? Is that what we do? We trade.
Right. Trade.
Go to trade.
Trade is where you do.
Convert.
And I'll tell you that Ethereum is one that I'm big on myself. But it's actually up. It's down for the moment, but it's up from where it has been recently. So
I'm gonna spread my money around and just to watch. What do you think? Classic or regular?
No, not classic.
Regular. Some advice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna preview my conversion. Here's your conversion. Mm-hmm. It's gonna tell me I lost money, but that's not really true. Technically speaking, that's just the market price in movement right now.
The markets fluctuate. Yeah.
And so there we go. There we go.
And Coinbase is not charging you a fee for that transfer. So
free.
No.
Free transfer. Now this is cool. I look, Bon, no cash.
No cash.
And we get the little, not the bouncy Cylon.
There you go.
Don't you love those UX things that people are able to do now?
I do.
And then you can go view this transaction. Converted. There's the transaction right over there, and it's down a penny because we saw it go down a penny. Let's go look at our assets again, and let's see it shows up. Does it show up right away? Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
There it is. So that $10 became quickly $9.80. All right. Yeah. So I lost 20 cents in the activity in value.
Just since we've been on, your Dogecoin has gone from $10 and a penny to $9.99.
That's right. It went down. I lost 2 cents. Right. Literally just sitting here. This is why.
Drive yourself crazy trying to watch it, and it's so it's.
Hey, what he went up a penny.
Money.
look, I got my money back. I got my Fetch AI went up by a couple of cents there.
Yeah, it's couch money. Remember, this is all just for fun.
This is not just couch
No,
money. This is virtual couch money.
it's virtual couch money, and there's a reason that we can use it though. It's one of the things that Ethereum and Doge and Bitcoin all have is the ability to do things like smart contracts. So you can actually have code that's running in the cloud and will automatically react. So when we talk about bots, these are little bots, and you have to have coin in order to be able to put them in to let them run. So,
so apparently, anyway. So as you can see, I'm over here in Minecraft. You can make your own couch and stick money. I thought that was really cool. All right, so what else we got? So we got Ralph's Money is doing okay. So we were talking about the cloud with all the cool stuff, and this is where Raquel says, "Watch out with your shill." I have our producer over here who might comment, but this is really cool. I didn't realize. I'm looking at my
video. She could stop your video now. Be careful.
Yeah, that's true. I could. So I'm looking at this over here, and I'm saying, "Oh my gosh, this is how long OneDrive has been around."
Right.
Because this didn't come from somewhere. This wasn't like a different system that came over. It's what is it, 2021 now, and this is from 2007. Right. And this is when, by the way, we went to Boston, and there's Raquel over there being nice with one of the statues. But all kinds of very cool stuff.
From November 2007. So yeah,
there she
really.
Is.
Yeah. So there this is many years ago.
Yeah, this is baseball. We're watching the White Sox and all that stuff. This is very super cool that this is there. I mean, the video might be a little grainy for the pieces over here. Let me look for something over here to put on. See if these even work. This is 3GP. Is that a format? I don't even remember that format anymore. 3GP. So let's go look at that. 3GP.
Off your phone or off?
This is off those ancient phones. So yeah, the resolution is like really that. I'm sure it was a flip phone or something that I had back in the day. But there it is. Oh, look, hey, I'm Raquel. There she is saying hi. Oh my God. And it still works.
And it's still running.
The cloud. Thank you.
Yeah. And see, this is one of those things where if you had it physically on your machine, you would have lost it.
It would be gone.
It would have been gone, because I know that you've gone through at least 2 machines since then.
You think? It's like it seems like every year or every other year we would go through a machine or two, and that's not counting the ones that just explode for no reason.
Right.
Long story there, but yeah, I mean, for that kind of stuff, just the regular attrition of things. Oh my God.
And for us, really, we've got client machines and we've got all of these other places where we store documents. And OneDrive is the cloud, and OneDrive is something that can be common across all of our machines. So yeah, now that's excellent.
So here's something very interesting side note. Look at my folder over here. It says music, iTunes music, and movies. I've not got, only in the last couple of years did I actually get an iPhone. How did it end up here? So the logic was, and I'm sure it was like an Android at best. Actually, back at this time, this would have been Windows Phone. Right?
Yes.
And because the format was this video format, 3GP, it's like, oh, it must be an iTunes thing. And because I think I had iTunes in that machine, it says, okay, 3GPs, go over here.
We're going to put it in that place.
Back then, I'm not sure what logic they were thinking, but it looks like that's what it was.
Very
weird, huh? Oh. So anyways, back in the days of the cloud over here.
Back to the cloud. Yeah.
And other things over there. We were looking at this last week. Another cloud service. FTP. Who's still using FTP? Are you using FTP there, Larry?
I have a client. I have a client that's wanting to talk about FTPing into. Actually, they want to FTP into blob storage, which is verboten, right? You can't do that.
Right.
But you can FTP into SharePoint and OneDrive, and you can have a listener, a Logic app, that's watching either one of those and can move it into blob storage for you.
There you go. Well, that makes sense. So with all that automation, you'd think that it doesn't matter where it goes, but people still apparently want these ancient ways of doing things. I just made a note that somehow this came on my desk. Like someone wanted to know how to do it, and they wanted to go to Office, which is a cloud storage, which is like verboten.
Right.
Don't do it. But apparently, again, like you did, they just got this couch drop account. Said, here, put it here, and you know what? This is probably doing exactly what you said we're doing, which is, hey, do it here. An automation will now take care of the rest.
Put a logic app in place, and you can have those that they'll handle the polling for you. They'll do everything that you need in order to move or copy and transfer a file. In this case, the client didn't actually need to do any transformation of the information as it moved. They just needed to put it in a specific location. And actually, it's not them. It's not their fault. They have other clients that are using ancient machines that have automation that just knows how to FTP and SFTP.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. So
they're trying to move into the cloud, and their clients kind of won't let them because
they're going basically. They're going in kicking and screaming is what they're doing. Yes. So if you have to, hey, be prepared to get some nicks and cuts.
Get a little dirty. I feel bad about enabling SFTP for something, but whatever.
Oh, so also back on cloud services, we saw the meetup over here. That was that meetup that we did. So apparently my admin and I finally got in there. By the way, here, best practice, if you're going to do this, be sure you pair it with like say something else, because meetup is private, right? Anyone can come in there publicly, but they can't see everything. But if they want to see details, they got to join. Otherwise, there's always YouTube. So here's my practice. I put it in there, connected the two, and done. How about it?
There you go.
There we go. That's my admin in an hour, but I was able to get it done in an hour. How about that? Remember that long talk we had that we used the whole hour to do?
Right.
And I got away with admin in an hour?
Well, now you're going to make me drop us down and talk about pricing.
Uh-oh. How much did this cost?
Well, no, I mean, how much do you charge an hour? Right?
Uh-oh.
Let's drop down to
oh my God,
one of those bottom links.
Hold on a second. I got a bottom link right over here that you shared with me.
There
Just stand by. Here we go.
I'm pointing at my screen as if you can see it. No, up higher. It's the
higher. Oh, there we go.
Why charge by the hour?
So someone asked us this, right? Why charging in an hour doesn't make sense. Can I play this really quick? It's on YouTube, so what do you think?
I don't know that we're gonna hear it, but
we might. Let's see. I got my sound on. Do I have sound? We're gonna see. Here we go. Play.
Oh, that's not the play. Let's go into the next one.
Oh, that's good to the next one. Right. Let's go back.
Why do you want to know my hourly rate?
I guess I want to know where my $18,000 is going.
So does that mean if I work less hours, I should charge you less?
Yeah.
So if I go over those hours, I should charge you more?
Sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying to me, you value this logo taking longer rather than shorter. So it means if I just tell you it took me 4 months to work on it, you will now owe me $36,000.
If it's in my budget and if I think you're worth it, but I would also ask, why would it take that long to make that logo?
I wouldn't put a lot of effort into it.
But I could hire somebody else who would charge me the same rate, but do it quicker.
So you value time over money then?
Sure, as a business person, yeah.
So here's the deal. I work really fast. I can come up with a logo, but I'm being punished for me being efficient and really good. You understand the logic doesn't work now?
Sure.
That's the problem. So if I could do a logo for you right now and you love it in 5 minutes, are you saying it's worth less than 18 or is it worth more now? It's worth more. So charging by the hour punishes me for being good.
Oh,
there you go, baby.
Oh, you just gave Raquel an idea now. She's going to charge me more for the logo she's working on.
Absolutely. It's a mic drop moment right there.
Oh my God. So everyone who's working
admin in an hour stuff. Right. Oh admin in an hour is that same type of thing. When we're talking about doing cloud services, or we have people that are doing things for us, do we care how long it takes, or do we care that the job gets done correctly? And that's the key. And it's a different mindset. And I just got hooked onto this from one of our old colleagues, who is not gone from the world, but gone from us. Yes. Moved on to bigger and better things. And
thankfully,
and
yes.
He hooked me up with this, and I wanted to share because you talked about getting your admin in an hour done in an hour. And that's because you're good. That's because, that's how long it took. But that still has the same value as having a junior developer working.
I mean, some things will take time. This is the case of like, hey, you're not going to. I'm going to hire more people, and we're going to have that baby in a month instead of 9. Some things just take time, and the people have to at least be covered. At the least, be covered with the time. I believe in that. At least be covered for your time. At that point, now it's the value of your output.
Right. Well, see, we all come down to the, you and I both. We're expensive. I mean, I say that I'm cheap, but I'm expensive. I'm not a cheap resource. When I get billed out, for. I don't get billed out for thousands, right? But hundreds of dollars an hour. It's because I do know what I'm doing and I'm able to get things done quickly, and so I'm productive. And my productivity is something that scales. And when you add, you could take 5 people that are making less than me, but come up with that same hourly rate and have 5 people work on the same problems that you're giving to me. But I'm going to get them done quicker and better because I don't have that communication loop.
That's true.
Right? When you start adding people, you start adding that communication loop. So
it's the stuff you say that somehow are a little hard to value off the bat, but you know you value them. It's like inherently they have value. Like the person was just saying, he's like, well, I'll know if it's worth it or not. If I feel it's and remember what he said, if I feel it's worth it, then I'll say okay, and in my budget, it's okay. So well, hold on a second. I can see you're in your budget. That's got a piece in the paper, but I feel you can't write that down.
No, that's not quantitative. It needs to be quantitative, not qualitative. And so, if you look at the cloud, one of the reasons that we push people to the cloud, right? We talk about cost savings. And that's a good thing. That's a reasonable thing for us to talk about. But we also need to talk about risk reduction, right? And also about timeliness. How long does it take to spin up a VM in Azure? We're talking seconds.
That's right.
Okay. And so you can be as agile as you need to be if you're using cloud resources. Whereas, before, back in the day, you'd have to go buy a Dell machine and a lead time of 6 weeks. No,
That's
I mean, so, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that we need to work better ourselves at kind of positioning the value of the cloud and positioning the value of what we're doing.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, and realize though that it is valuable. It does mean something. It might be it's like, well, I'm not as good as that person, so maybe the value of this is not as much. Here's the thing: if the value of the thing gave the person you're doing it for the value that they wanted, you're more valuable than anybody at this point. You did it. You got that stuff done.
Position, and you got it done. Yeah. Yes. Imposter syndrome is a horrible thing in our industry.
Oh gosh,
it really is.
Oh man. Yes, a lot of people talk about it, and there's no such thing. The thing is, once it's done and it got done, that's all you needed. You may not have been like, oh well, I wasn't Tom Cruise when I flew that jet. It's like, well, it didn't matter. Did you fly the jet? Well, guess what? Tom Cruise can't fly the jet. He just looks good in it. That's it.
There you go.
Or maybe he can fly. I don't know. Does he? Can he really fly? I heard he's going to space. That's what I heard.
He's going.
He's going to do a movie in there, but I think the Russians beat him to it, actually, once again.
Gotta love it.
Gotta love it.
What else do we have?
What else do we have over here? Little things.
We dropped down. We missed the camera thing. I've changed my camera.
We got to talk about some of the new toys. A new toy segment. Here we go. Oh, yeah.
So one of the things that...
Look at this beautiful video right now. This is your beautiful video right now, right?
Yeah, one of the things hopefully you can tell is that I've got a better setup on my camera. And before it was well,
all the way back and was all
here. It was all the way back. It was showing the full thing, and
now
all I had to do was look at the camera that I actually already had, and find the right tool. There's a tool for controlling the camera, and I just had to do some settings on it, and it makes it so much nicer.
Oh man,
I like it so much
really
better.
Nice. I mean, I got something not exactly similar over here. I'm moving my thing around. Mine is an older version of it. It's okay. It comes with a little tripod. This one doesn't come with a tripod, right? It's just the clippy clip.
Just the camera. It's got the clipper for the top of the monitor.
Okay.
But,
so yeah. So
and we don't get paid for this.
I needed a tripod though, because I wasn't going clippy.
Yeah. Yeah, but we don't get paid for this. This is just, this is what I'm currently using.
This is your toy right now. It looks really nice. I might consider this as my next toy as soon as I'm ready for a clippy. As soon as I move away from multi monitors to giant, the big.
Yeah, no, see, I did that. Well, see, not as big though. So I've got a 34-inch, widescreen, and one of our colleagues recently got a 49-inch.
Oh,
and
gosh.
His field of view is like
49-inch. That's like a regular big giant TV.
No, but it's wide. So it's narrow. It just goes forever to each side. He could put 4 standard size windows side by side.
Okay. That's where I got to go. Then instead of like, and also it's one attachment.
It's one pane.
1, 2, 3, 4. I got like the sneaky snakes of USB to HDMI to USB-C 3 and all this stuff combination to make all my monitors work. That would be much better.
Well, see, the difference is mine was only like $500 and his was like 1,000. So,
it'll come
get
down.
What you pick. It'll come down.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah.
Speaking of more cloud
your
stuff,
needs to do
so you're living on the edge with that. You're living on the edge with us. Speaking of living on the edge, yes. we tried to miss this one last time. Oh, look, hey, welcome, Red Hat. What brings you here today?
Ooh, a bot.
There's a bot. Like the bot. He's got a hat. You were talking about this. This excited you.
So this is interesting. Yeah. We missed our segue that we had last time. It's okay.
Yes,
we'll work through it. So this is talking about pushing OpenShift, which is basically cloud in a box. Okay, it's Red Hat's version of OpenStack or Cloud Foundry, or really sort of AWS or Azure. So this is pushing OpenShift out to the edge. And the idea is that instead of having a big data center, you're going to break it out into smaller machines and put those machines closer to where the action is actually happening.
Right.
And the reason you do that is to decrease latency. And you also actually decrease the amount of data that's being transferred.
That's true.
Because you're able to do the processing and change that data that's local into information that gets sent back.
Right. So it almost sounds counterintuitive, right? We're moving to the cloud so we can not have to do that.
So
suddenly,
push things out.
We're pushing things back. What?
I know. But the good thing about OpenStack, and the reason that it's interesting, and the reason that I'm loving it, is it's running on top of Kubernetes, and it is just a full bare metal installation that has you a cube stack that's just working.
Oh gosh,
and it has all of these features already built in. So it's a real easy install. It installs on lower value machines. You don't have to have one of the giant, giant Dell servers. You could just have a little Dell laptop. In fact, you can retread one of your older Dell laptops.
Wow.
And install.
See, that makes more sense. The idea is you're increasing your speed. I mean, this is the way if we move to the moon and do internet over there, for example, this is what's going to happen. But the devices that are going to be available there closer. I wonder if we can eliminate that the difference in time. If you have enough of those. No, you'd have to have like a whole string of those connected. No, that still won't fix the time.
Yeah, because you still have light speed between.
You still have light speed. Yep.
So that's latency. Latency between computers is really down to light speed. It's down to the speed of the electrical signal that's passing through the wire.
Yes.
So I mean, there is a dead limit to what you can get, and it's interesting. Living in New York, there are trading machines and all of that, and being physically closer makes a difference.
Oh gosh,
when you're talking about nanoseconds and trading. And
absolutely.
like that. So
yes. Now, in fact, with Reuters, that's what they talked about. Like basically, which is why they always had to have the presence. And this was before the cloud. The idea was you're going to have that latency. If you want to be present, then your account people have to be there. All we can do with the connections is basically inform you that your people have done X.
Have done this, right?
There's nothing you can do because you're going to find out too late anyway for anything to be done a second or two later. But if your people are there, at least you know what the heck they did.
Well, I mean, it's the whole idea of a control loop, right? You want to decrease that latency as much as possible. Otherwise, you get into oscillations, and those can be horrible. But yeah, so this is a way to get things to the cloud.
Was this going to be our way in? Because I think what was over here? Hey, continue the site.
Design news.
Was it design news?
Oh yeah, no. This is see,
yeah.
So that's the monitor.
This is the monitor. There it is.
One of those monitors. Yeah.
Look at that.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh man.
Anyway, no. This is where I was.
Oh yeah, that's right. You had a conference.
Yeah.
Yes. Larry's out there. Oh. It's not just me who you saw me, but that's of course our user group. But you were actually doing something.
Right.
Which conference was this one?
Oh, this wasn't a conference. This was just an interview for this Design News magazine. So, just a little bit of a blurb about kind of they wanted to talk to somebody old, and they said, well, Larry's one of the older guys, so let's let him talk to him.
Right.
But it's about looking back at the past and looking forward to the future. And one of my favorite bits in there is the question was asked, what about Python? Is Python, the new black?
Oh,
it's the way they put the question.
Yes.
And I said, well, Python's not new anything. Really, Python's 30 years old. We've been doing Python forever.
Right.
What happened is the landscape and the solutions that we're building has changed. And Python has a very rich history. It's got a very rich library of a library, right? It's got a very rich library. And, what it's done is it fits inside all of these little holes that we have now for our solutions a lot better than other things.
That's right.
It happens to fit very well right now. As we change, it'll go away.
So if somebody might say, does that mean VBA is coming back? I'm like, oh, maybe. We don't think so.
Maybe,
but you never know.
Yeah. Well, you look at VBA. When I look at Blazor,
yes,
right. Blazor is the WebAssembly. It's C# that can run in the browser.
That's right.
Or run on the client. There are also mobile bindings that can let you run it on your Android phone or your iOS phone. Really, Blazor is very much like the old school WinForms or Red Forms.
That's true.
It's Razor pages with C# embedded within them. It's Cloud Fusion if you really want to get old, but it's done in a different way. It's got a little bit of a different twist to it, and it's solving a different set of problems in the same sort of way that we've done before.
Exactly.
So we keep retreading things. Bell bottoms came back and they went away, right? Maybe
they're likely to come back again. Frills, whatever.
Yep. Are coming back. I mean, there's all sorts of fashion loops. Same thing with computers.
Got it. That's very interesting. So here's the thing: Python, as we know, is not just being used for example, programming as you might hear it. It's used in other things like for analysis, for other designs, for other things. The idea is like you have something that has a framework. Somebody wants to make something happen. Why don't we use a framework that exists that people are familiar with? Right. That makes a lot of sense. And you can, let's just say the translation becomes easier. I think
people are using it. People are using it in conjunction with Terraform to do infrastructure as code.
Right.
To do automatic.
So
CI/CD
why did Python win and not say PowerShell, for example?
Well, at the time, the people that knew PowerShell only worked on Windows machines.
Right.
And the web is more and more becoming a Linux land. And so Python,
the Azure side, yes.
Python always has been working with Linux. And so the people that were building the tools, they used the tools that they knew. They used the pieces that they already had and understood.
Right.
So it's now 10 years from now, PowerShell is now cross-platform. PowerShell can now be run on Linux. 10 years from now, we'll be having this same conversation about PowerShell. Is PowerShell the new orange? Right?
Yep.
Is PowerShell the new hotness? Well, PowerShell's not the new anything. We've had it forever. It currently fits our problem set better than any other solution.
Aha. There you go. I think what else did I saw something in this article. What do they describe you as? You're a decomposer in chief, is what you were? Hold on a second.
Decomposer.
That over here. Larry Smithmier. It's somewhere over here. Here we go.
Yeah.
To be successful, you'll be able to decompose a problem into actionable units. Actually, I like this statement right over here. To be able to decompose something, make it small.
Right. And that's what edge computing is all about. That's what, everyone that's watching us has an edge device, right? Your phone is an edge device. It's a computer that's close to where the action is happening.
Right.
That's really what an edge device is.
Oh, yeah.
So when we're talking about edge, that's what we're talking about. Decomposing a problem into smaller pieces is what the cloud's all about.
Right.
We want to be able to scale horizontally, not scale vertically, not scale up the machine by making it bigger.
Excellent tip.
Scale out by adding more.
So actually, that's a very important concept. So if you really one of our big tenets really in the cloud is not to create essentially an ultimate monolith. We're not trying to create Skynet, frankly. We're making the babies, the small bits, because that's all that really is necessary to solve a problem. People who try to solve, how do we say it, to swallow the whole lake or whatever they want to call it, are not going to go far, right? It's not exactly doomed to fail, but let's just say they're doomed to be there forever. It's like deep thought. Well, the answer is 42, but what's the question? Hold on, I'll take a few million years to think about it.
Right.
I'll give you the answer when I can. But that's the thing. It's just too big. You don't try to solve the huge problems. Sometimes you got to take them into pieces to get to be able to get out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But who else does that? Wormies.
Yeah.
My favorite worm.
Decompose.
Yes.
Oh yeah, dude.
Speaking of worms,
came out.
This is out today.
Yeah, it came out last night. It streamed on HBO Max.
Oh no!
And
I got to redo my subscription here. Oh yes.
HBO Max at 6 p.m. Eastern. It started streaming, and we did not watch it because.
No, I see. Someone told me you really have to watch it in IMAX, and I'm like, oh god.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna watch it at home.
It was like Foundation. I'm not going to wait for that to show up in IMAX. I had to get the Apple TV just because of that show, frankly. I mean, Ted Lasso is great and all that stuff, but I think I had to get that for Foundation and stuff. But this one, I'm looking forward to. Like I said, speaking of worms and decomposers, ultimate. I'm trying to think. So we got very mature. One thing I wanted to cover. We were talking about what we do, and basically why we charge more, why we charge less, and everything else. In a lot of cases, organizations, depending on how they are, will be caught in that thing. It's like we have to pay more because of this, right? If you don't have, for example, an expertise at something, well, expect it. You're probably going to pay a premium in order to get something very complex done in the thing that you don't have expertise in. This is why a lot of companies, even if they outsource it, they will have a group that's tied to them, big ones especially.
We always talk about, we talk about having the local guide, right? You want to have someone that knows the problems and can tell you about the problems,
right?
Before you run into them. You don't want to hit your head against the wall when you're talking about millions of dollars and you're talking about a business that, in today's climate, 3 months of an outage is 2 months, 29 days, and 7 hours too long. I mean, you just can't be out. So
indeed. So I mean, in a lot of the cases, right, it's like, how do you get there? Part of the thing is like, well, how do we know if we're okay? How do we measure that? So here's a thing that I've been seeing a lot of lately, and it's not just for this. Microsoft has this concept of the maturity model for M365. Yes. And the concept over here is they look at various aspects of your business. And then they give you like a score that you can measure yourself to. I'm at an initial level. I'm barely trying anything. I don't know much. I'm just whatever. Or I'm able to repeat my process. Well, that sounds right. Or I have it defined, which means not only is it repeatable, but somewhere it's documented. Or the other one's like, I'm capable or I'm efficient. I'm like, wow, I'm using all the tools. I'm a master at whatever this is doing. And essentially, when Microsoft or other companies look at your organization and look at you in this measurement, they can sell, okay, here's what you need, or here's what you can do, or for that matter, just the journey just to get here will give you what's called capabilities. We talk a lot about capabilities. What are your capabilities? What can you do? When you say, I'm capable of doing this without help, it's like, okay, that's worth money.
Right. Well,
right?
And again, I love this. This is qualitative. No, it's not. It's quantitative.
Quantitative. You have a score.
It's quantitative. We have a score. We have a measure. And because we have a measure, it's not a feeling. It's something that you can not only measure before you start, you can measure after you finish, and you can look at that difference. And that is the value that you provided.
By the way, this is just not Microsoft. Awesome. By the way, this comes out of this one, the Carnegie Mellon capability maturity model. So this came from academia to a certain extent, but they actually have a group out of here, an organization. Look at that. It's used by the Department of Defense. It's funny. It's like the organizations that we think, they must not be using models or something because they seem to be, like all over the place. They're not really. They're actually more organized than you'd think. What we see in the media is like, oh, they're disorganized. They're doing stuff. No,
what you're seeing is you're seeing the parts that stick up.
Exactly.
Either for the good or the bad. All you see is the parts that stick up. You don't see everything that's underneath. It's like the icebergs, right?
Yes.
Icebergs. They're cute little things on top, but man, there's a lot going on underneath. So, or
absolutely.
Another one is it's like a duck that's swimming in the water. Right.
True.
At the top, it's all smooth, but underneath, those little feet are going like mad.
Exactly.
So you just have to watch.
You just have to watch for it. But again, the idea is like, in whatever you're doing, and this is what we keep telling people to also lately. Well, at least I've been doing when I'm doing any kind of project, cloud projects or whatever. Let's have a measurement. Where are we at? Where do we want to be? How do we know when we're done? That's instant measure. It's like, hey, yes or no. Is this done? Say yes. Okay, that's your score. You scored yes in the done deal. Okay, that's your score. Versus no, you failed the done deal. It's no, you're not done. Or let's get to those like minor levels. It's like, here's where we are, here's where we're at now, and here's where we're going. What's our progress? Have you ever tried driving a car without any dials in it? Just drive the car. Like a bumper car or something, and you have it's like a bumper car, because that's what it feels like. You have no controls, you have no dials, you don't know how fast you're going, you don't know, there's no proximity indicator, there's nothing. You have nothing to give you feedback to say where you're at or where you're going. Has anyone ever tried that?
I will say, in a similar note, but a little different. Back in the day, right, when I went to high school down in Mississippi, down in a little town in Mississippi, and Poplarville, Mississippi, there wasn't a lot to do on the weekends, and so we would go driving, and we would drive around town, and it wasn't that we were trying to go anywhere. What we were trying to do was see and be seen. So it's a matter of measuring what your goal is, and that's what one of our
you could measure. It's like, okay, how many people have seen me? 10 people. Oh yeah, I had 20.
What does success look like to you?
Yes.
Let's talk about that. What does success look like to you? That's what you need to measure. You need to measure your closeness to that goal. So
indeed. So that's what that's all about. Oh, let me see what else I got over here sitting around here. There's all kinds of videos now. We're going to post, by the way, links as we usually do. You were reminding me, like, hey, every time we have to announce this stuff, I should be using my Hootsuite. Yes.
Which is a cloud service.
Cloud service. Another nice, very nice cloud service, actually.
Yes, it is.
It works. But as they say, Hootsuite's the case. If you're doing it for your personal stuff, it's okay. It's for little things. But if you're doing it for real, pay the money. Pay the money. And then my other complaint was video conference. Is this a web service? Blue Jean Cipher. What? You showed me this. A new meeting system. Oh my God.
So it's a meeting system. It's another one of the meeting systems, right? So I mentioned we looked at Stack earlier.
Yes.
OpenStack is by Red Hat. There's also oh, now I've lost it. But there are other ones that are out there.
Sure.
And one of them had a set of meetings recently, and I went to some of those meetings, and at least one of them was on this tool,
right?
As opposed to like Zoom or anything like that. It actually works well. I'm not sure exactly what they're trying to position it for, but it's a cool tool. It works.
It looks pretty interesting. It comes with a device too. Check it out.
You can do it based on devices. Yeah, I think it's device first maybe, but again, it is. So
they have a big company behind it though, Verizon. It looks like.
Verizon. I remember being out when Google started. Okay, that's how old we are, right? Well, you remember before Google, there was Ask Jeeves. There were all of these other ways that you could
Yahoo
search the internet. Yahoo. But really, they were indexes. They weren't really searches. And Google changed everything. But when it first came out, people were like, "Well, why would anyone ever want to do a search engine for the internet? Aren't there this and this and this and this?" So I always try to slow myself down when I start poo-pooing on things that are doing the same job that's already being done, because they might be doing it in a substantially different way. And I haven't looked into this enough to know if there's a real reason for switching over to it, or if it's just another also ran. But
it's a tough one, right? But this was the new one. This one just came out of the blue. It's like actually mainly because like I said, I'm used to using Teams now, and Teams is just like literally advancing itself at a exponential scale in just the last year alone. Even Zoom is keeping up with stuff, but Zoom like stayed advanced for quite a while, and they only have to do minor tweaks, and they still pretty much in good shape. And then there's the ones that we've heard of before that used to be very popular, not so much, and I'm beginning to feel why. It's like once you get used to these tools, you get used to a way of doing things. This is what I do to click to see someone. This is what I do to share a file. This is the way I used to do to collaborate and all that stuff. You get used to a tool that when all of a sudden you go into something else and you don't know what the ways to do things are, it's like jarring. It's like, oh, I can't meet that way.
I mean, remember Skype? You and I could Skype, and that's what we used for a long time. But Skype's not great for conference calls, and it's not. It has some limitations.
Right.
And Teams, as you say, has been changing over the past year. It's made a lot of changes, changing leaps and bounds, and it's a lot better. But because we've been using it every day, because we've been inside that zone, we haven't seen how far it's come. Moving back to some of these older tools that haven't updated their UI, that haven't updated the way they work or anything,
that have gone in a different direction. In some
they've
cases.
gone in a different direction and deviated. They're solving a different problem. They're working with different. They're optimizing different measures. Okay, let's just say it that way. Not that they're wrong. They're just solving a different problem.
Exactly.
But yeah, once that deviation happens and once they've gone in different directions, moving from one to the other becomes hard. Right. And there for a while, Zoom and Teams were pretty much in parity, I think. I mean, the Zoom with the whole Brady bunch really changed things.
Yes.
And then, Teams came out with the
Keynote together mode, and then they added the extra mode of like, well, here's some seats. Everyone can sit down in your seats and stuff. And I imagine Zoom says, well, we're not going to do that. We're just going to be able to do thousands of people on your list. Well, you've seen those, like the little videos where people singing and all of a sudden like a whole bunch of them start showing up. You still can't do that in Teams, but you can do it in Zoom.
Mm-hmm. So they're optimizing for different things, and that's what's great. That's what's great about competition. So,
well, the great thing about the clouds in particular is like, is it great or not? It's the case of in the past there used to be like, okay, rent-a-cars. There's Avis, there's Hertz, there's Budget and all this stuff. You have a specific. Here's a product. Here's the competitor. You can compare them one for one, features, services, and all that stuff. And even when the cloud came initially and the internet stuff, still all those services were sort of matching up. And then the likes of Amazon and everything else basically created whole new paths to follow. So now you can't anymore just go ahead and measure. Well, let's compare Amazon, say, to Walmart in selling. You can't. Even though, yeah, they're both retailers, but they're literally doing things in such a fashion that you can't go one for one, this tool, that tool, this tool, or anything like that, because they're able to do it so different.
Right. Yeah. Well, and even if we talk about cloud providers, okay?
Yeah.
We talk about there being the big three, right? There's Google, there's I'm
Amazon, AWS,
three, right? Google, Amazon, and AWS going low to high. Right. Well, there's also Oracle.
Yep.
IBM has a cloud.
That's right.
Rackspace has cloud services. Salesforce could be considered a cloud service.
Yep.
Cloudflare
was one of our originals.
It's one of the ones that I've been using them forever.
That was our first one when we did a SharePoint server. It was on Cloudflare originally. I remember that.
And now they're moving. I mean, there's a lot of different vendors that are coming out with pieces of this puzzle. OpenStack and Cloud Foundry and all of these are tools that are trying to be a local cloud, if you will. Mm-hmm. But I mean, there's just so many. We can't know what all of them are.
Wow, that's true.
We're not trying to. What we're trying to do is know enough about them to be able to talk about them and compare.
But we have a lingua franca to some extent. You can't really compare them, but there's some terms that apply across the board. When we say one of our earliest sessions, if you go back in the history of our session, it came up because somebody was asking, hey, we should prepare them. They should know about cloud stuff before they go into the interview. It's like, oh, where are they coming from? Well, they're coming from the pure SharePoint world and all that stuff. Well, I'm like saying, yeah, if you don't know cloud stuff now, you've been living under a rock a little bit, but not so much that. I can understand your pain if you've been really focused on one kind of work. And you've heard of the cloud, you've heard of these pieces, but when you tell you to go beyond the Microsoft view of things, if you were at SharePoint as an example. So we'll say, well, I'm not going to make you do the Azure 900 fundamentals learning. I mean, that's neat, but it'll show you too much. Go back to one of our old episodes. I actually found one of our old where we talked PaaS, SaaS. Remember that? Just the core. Understand those
infrastructure as a service. Just understanding that much is enough to get you out of the gate.
Exactly. I mean, these are core concepts. It's almost like maybe in elementary school they're probably going to start teaching that stuff. It's like, well, you're about to go into the wild woolly internet. Here's how the services work, and here's where you could be hacked from. This is why you were hacked.
What we're doing is that is kind of a common vocabulary, and you have to have the vocabulary so that you can start talking about those angles, those divisions that we have between these different services, and being able to measure. Amazon has a much better interface to their whatever.
Right.
Azure is better at this. But if you don't know what those pieces are, you're not able to say, well, my solution needs, 3 of these and 4 of these and 5 of these. So the best place for me to go is Azure, or the best place for me to go is Google. They've got a really good and valuable offering. IBM, people don't talk about IBM. IBM makes a lot of money in the cloud. And the reason they do is because they're servicing a very specific niche, and they're servicing it very well.
Exactly. That's
they're
the way
not
to do
solving problems that I've had to solve with clients, but I've looked into it enough to know that, what their offering is, so that if I have a client that meets that niche and fits, then I can point them in the right direction and get them there instead of the Microsoft. I love Microsoft, don't get me wrong, but they're not the best at everything. There's a reason there's more than one company in the world.
This is true. I mean, yeah, this is the key part over here, though, is at least you have and I'm trying to get to that, the lingo to describe it. Go back to some of our old stuff. Some of that has not changed. If actually now they're more underscored than ever. If I think back when they talk about, is there, for example, infrastructure service, shouldn't that have gotten obsolete? Shouldn't have everything been so good that we don't have to deal with infrastructure anymore? Guess what? More so than ever. And we just talked about that. We talked about the edge pieces over there. Well, guess what just came back? What we thought was gone is infrastructure is back. All the things that you think go away will come back. Those core concepts will come back to haunt if you do not care to learn them, as they say.
So if we go back farther, right? If we go back to before this show even started, we're loosely based off of the Car Talk show, right? And if you look at cars, there's a reason that there are multiple car brands. There's a reason that each brand has multiple car types. It's because at any given time, a person has a specific set of needs that different vehicles service.
It's true.
I mean, there's a time for the minivan. There's a time after the minivan for the little red sports car. Midlife crisis. But I mean, there's a time for each one of those, and there's a reason that pickup trucks are a valid choice.
Right.
Then there are times when it's silly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And there'll be varieties between the cars, but in a lot of cases they're solving and serving a kind of thing. And at that point, there could be the point where it's an aesthetic. Okay, well, I like that look over that look. I like this color over that color. That's all fine and well. That's gravy. When we get there, it's gravy. First, we got to solve the function problem. The function is, I just need this to work. I need to be able to drive. Okay, start there.
So if your minivan comes from Ford or Chevy or Toyota, it's still a minivan. It's still solving the same problem, and we're just talking about variations on it. And that's what really, when we're talking about AWS, Amazon, and Google, and IBM, and Oracle clouds, we're really talking about all just the same problems, solving the same problems with the same pieces, really. The pieces just look a little different. You're talking about aesthetics. You're talking about some minor
this is why in a lot of cases I will ask you, like, hey, that's really cool. What's the AWS and Google feature for that? And I don't do that necessarily to say, oh, let's go find out what the competition is compared. No, it's not that all about that. It's sometimes it's an understanding. I understand something more when I see the variations of something. Right. So if I want to understand the species of cat, if I really understood all the different varieties of cat, I will probably be a better cat expert than just knowing what kind of cat.
For programming, I'm a big C# fan. I've been programming C# since 1.0, and that's all I want to program in. I'm upfront and frank about it, right? I'm the appdev.net guy because C# is my language. It's the one that I want to use. I've also studied Java, though, because there are some things that Java actually does better than C#. And I'm not a mindless zealot who is language specific. I don't want us to be that way with our cloud solutions either. We have to look and find the right one. I talked with a client this year that had written their front end in JavaScript in React and their back end in Node.js. And man, I really wanted to tell them, first thing to do is rip all that Node out and put some C#, .NET Core in there. We'll get you going. But there was no reason to. In fact, they had a small shop and they had very few people. And that was a common language between the front end and the back end. That let them reuse code. That let them not have to retrain. So my honest answer to them was, I really want to move you, but there's no reason for you to. What I want you to do is take the Node.js that you have and put it in TypeScript so that you get some compile time errors instead of all these runtimes. Let's make it more modern, but we don't need to change your languages just to meet my goals. Okay.
Exactly. All righty. I think. So by the way, we're going to have another conference. We're calling it M365 Below in Chicago. That's coming in January. Maybe we'll see you there. Maybe we'll see how it goes and stuff. I just want to put that up. It's Raquel's work over here, by the way. Nice little beautiful picture over here. And of course, now that she knows about charging a lot for logos, she's going to take me to the cleaners when I ask her to. Can we put some icicles on this to look really cool? What do you think? What do you think, Raquel? Some icicles? What do you think? Just right over here. Icicle. Okay, there. Okay. Oh, per pixel now. Okay, wait. She got it figured out. Okay, so like there's per hour, there's per minute, and now there's per pixel.
Right.
Per pixel. I haven't thought about that. That we should let that guy know. How about per pixel or per thing?
My mic was muted for the audience. I'll just say I'm charging my dad 50 cents per pixel. So.
Oh. Oh, okay. That's right. So yeah, that's right. If no one heard,
we had a back channel there. Sorry.
We'll come in there, but now we just heard it. She's going to charge me.
There you go.
Okay. Oh well. All right. Anyways, Larry, you know what? We got probably meetings, and I think I told you earlier. I've literally been back to back since 8:00 in the morning. I started my meeting in the car, and don't worry, I was safe. It was,
Hands
mobile.
off.
It was on the side, and I'm listening in mostly. But all the way until now, and this can be considered a meeting, technically.
Yes.
Right.
What we need to talk about why we do this. Let's talk about that next week.
Yes.
Why do we spend an hour? And we say it's an hour, but it's really more than that.
It is.
Prep and all that. So we'll talk about that next week.
We'll talk about that one. It's like, oh my gosh, Ralph, you don't do any hands-on stuff, getting the cloud working, all stuff. Well, technically speaking, I am working the cloud when I'm doing it. If anything, I am working on the cloud. So there you go. There's at least that. All right. Larry,
good to see everyone.
It's good to see you. Raquel, please take us out, and hopefully we have a sound show. We're going to update with all the links that we posted over here and get those in. All right.
Bye.
And bye.